The snow kept falling and grew heavier. In the white mist of snow, Monk Decking still knelt on the stage like a statue, clasped his palms, closed his eyes and did not move. His head seemed to be steaming, and snow accumulated on his eyebrows. His shoulders were also piled with snow. He had no idea that thousands of people in the audience were worshipping him. Not even knowing that the Empress had arrived, he still prayed earnestly to the Bodhisattva for snowfalls in his meditation. It takes at least 3 or 5 days of heavy snow to put out the plague. He prayed, Buddha, Manjushri Bodhisattva, Avalokitesvara, please bestow 3 to 5 days snowfall to save the hundreds of thousands of living beings. Governor Sun sent soldiers up to the stage to summon Decking, but the Empress stopped him and said, Governor Sun, you don't need to bother the venerable monk. The Empress stood in the snow, facing to the onstage Decking. She knelt down, clasped her palms, worshipped 3 times, and left quietly. Decking didn't know that the Empress had come and didn't know 1 million soldiers and civilians in Shin worshipped to the sky one after another, and those who did not believe in Buddhism also knelt to worship the Buddha. Decking wasn't aware that 10,000 civilians were worshipping him around the stage. Everyone was chanting the holy name of Avalokitesvara. Decking couldn't hear or see anything, he was still in meditation, and there was only one persistent thought in his mind. The field had been covered with 2 feet snow. Within a few hundred kilometers, there was heavy snow everywhere. Zen residents had never seen such heavy and deep snow, and never heard of heavy snowfall in the hot August. Now every house has accumulated more than a foot of white snow on the roof. While the snow was falling continuously, the heavy snow did not stop at night. The next day, the snow had been 3 feet deep. Then it was so cold that people dared not go out. No one came to worship under the stage. Only Decking still knelt on the stage and prayed for snow. He never stepped down, he did not eat, drink, rest or sleep, just kept praying day and night. Tears full of compassion and gratitude overflowed his eyes. And the warm tears could not be frozen by snow. Was it by accident? During the hot weather and the severe drought in August, there was a sudden 5-day heavy snowfall. The snow was more than 5 feet deep, stretching hundreds of kilometers. The bacteria of the plague were frozen to death, the plague was extinguished. And the sign of drought also vanished. Was it just a coincidence, or was it related to the Buddha? But it happened on the 2nd day of Decking praying for snowfall. Those Buddhists had become more convinced because of this, and many people who didn't believe in Buddhism began to have faith. Although some people talking about Confucius still slammed, and some people inclined to modern Western science said, the snowfall is just a coincidence. But more people rushed to the Sleeping Dragon Temple to worship the Buddha, and everyone was vying to meet the venerable monk Decking. The Empress offered tremendous reward with countless graceful gifts, being accompanied by the music played by the band, which were carried to the temple. There were yellow damask and red silk, a large offering of vegetarian food and fruit, monk's robe and shoes. Kun, the representative of the Empress and the Emperor, came to offer the offerings on imperial edict. At that moment, it was incomparably magnificent on the scene. Monk Decking's reputation spread throughout Zen in a few days. The temple was crowded with dukes, ministers, literati, scholars, workers, and servants every day. They burnt incense and worshipped the Buddha and were eager to see this living Buddha and divine monk who had prayed for snow successfully. Someone said, Monk Decking is the real living Buddha coming to life. Another said, Monk Decking resorted to magic arts on the stage and pointed to the sky, and the snow fell, because the dragons in the sky are obedient to him. Others said, this old monk rose into air that night, directing the god in the sky to snow, I saw it with my own eyes. The venerable monk not only rode in the clouds and fog, calling for wind and snow, someone said. If he called for snowfall, the celestial general dared not hail and must have a sufficient 5-day snowfall. Another said, the venerable monk played magic and cast snow in the sky together with many bodhisattvas at night. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva was sitting on the lotus in Puchuo mountain, who knew the monk was praying for snow and was eager to save the people. She didn't have time to make up, with hairs messed up, she rode on the clouds and came to help with snowfall. Where on earth does the heavy snow come from in the hot summer day? This is the old monk's Buddhist Dharma, which moved the iceberg from Antarctica. You must know that he is the reincarnated living Buddha. The legend was getting more outrageous and more amazing. It turned monk Decking, who had been ridiculed a few days ago, into a living Buddha with great divine power. People were waiting day and night outside the grand hall of the temple, looking forward to honoring the living Buddha. Moreover, many carried the patients and placed them in front of the hall, begging the living Buddha to heal. Decking was reluctant to appear as a divine monk in such a shocking manner. In fact, he was deeply ashamed. He asked himself that he was not a living Buddha or a divine monk. He only knew that he had sincerely prayed to the bodhisattvas. How could he claim credit for himself? He hid in the Zen room and dared not come out, but thousands of people in front of the hall clamored and shouted, "Monk Decking!" It was so noisy that the whole temple is restless. Elder Dongxia said, "Master Decking, it seems that you must go out and meet them." People brought patients to the front of the hall and asked for medical treatment from you. Go out and see them. Decking was horrified. "Elder, I can't heal, and I don't have magic. How dare I go out and mess around?" The elder said, "You still have to make it clear. Lest thousands of people make noise here day and night." Decking had no choice but to come out. As soon as he and Elder Dongxia appeared, the masses prostrated themselves and worshipped him. Some people burst into tears, crying and yelling, "Decking living Buddha, please save my old sick mother. Living Buddha, heal my blind son. Living Buddha, please heal my gangrene. Living Buddha, my son is haunted by ghosts, may the living Buddha catch the ghosts for him." Some women moved forward on their knees and kept bowing their heads at Decking and crying. Many people were holding incense and worshipping to Decking. Decking was moved to tears. He choked with sobs for a while and couldn't utter a word. He only clasped palms and worshipped everyone in return. Elder Dongxia clapped his palm a few times and announced, "Please be quiet, listen to what Master Decking has to say." Decking spoke to the audience, "Benefactors, this is due to the compassion of Buddha and Bodhisattva, who have compassion for the miserable people, so they brought snowfall to extinguish this serious epidemic. It didn't result from my ability. I dare not claim credit for myself. I happen to have this chance. I don't have that remarkable achievement. I have nothing except for my sincerity, and you shouldn't wrongly worship me. In addition to chanting Buddha and reciting sutras, I had no further skills. Should benefactors not waste your time?" How could everyone believe that? Instead, they begged harder, "Living Buddha! If you don't save us, who can save us?" Living Buddha! Should you not quit? You are truly magical. The crowd begged unceasingly. The snow had just melted not very long, and the ground was wet and slippery. Nonetheless, everyone knelt on mud and worshipped him, bowing their heads and touching the ground. Decking felt more ashamed, and said, "Benefactors, I'm telling you the truth sincerely, and there is no falsehood. I'm really powerless." Someone cried, "Living Buddha thinks that we are not devout enough. If living Buddha doesn't save us, we will never leave, kneeling till tomorrow, kneeling till next year." Decking said, "How can I make you believe that I'm telling the truth? You would better pray to the Buddha devoutly rather than beg me. How about that I, On behalf of you, respectfully invite Elder Dongxia to lead us to chant Buddha and pray. If Elder leads me and everyone to a 7-day Buddhist practice, I believe that the Buddha will be responsive and bring bliss to everyone. Elder Dongxia said, "Why does Master Deking set me up?" Finally, the Elder Dongxia were invited to practice Buddha 7, and Deking was humbly the deputy. The masses expected the living Buddha to display the magic and show miracles. However, they could not see Deking performed. The masses were unavoidably disappointed, but they gradually believed in Deking's honesty. Deking did not show any special magic, but this didn't stop those who heard his reputation from all directions worshipping him. At that time, thousands of people were vying to see the living Buddha of Deking every day. And countless people, including princes, ministers, gentry, and nobles, invited him to their houses and provided offering to him. In the temporary palace, the empress and the royal frequently called him, which turned Deking so busy that he felt too much troubled. Manjushri Bodhisattva once promised him to demonstrate Buddha Dharma in this travel to the west, which is responsive and efficacious. Praying for snowfall to extinguish the plague had made the Buddha Dharma deeply rooted in the hearts of the public in both Gansu and Shanxi provinces. Countless suffering victims had regained their faith in Buddhism and prayed to the Buddha for bliss. All the Buddhist temples were unprecedentedly prosperous everywhere. Deking worked hard for half his life and had never encountered such an experience. He enjoyed great fame throughout the entire country and was honored as the master of protecting the country by the empress and the emperor. He was so reputable that no other monk could be comparable. However, did he come for vanity? Did he come for this endlessly troubled wealthy entertainment? He was bored and was tired of the fame resembling the icing on the cake. He only wished to build up a temple to carry forward Dharma. However, with the frequent disasters at this time, the impoverished court, and the poor people running out of money, where did he get the money to build a Buddhist temple? How could he request the empress at this time? He felt that the mission to the west had come to an end, and he had already fulfilled this responsibility. He was tired of too many compliments, too many banquets, too many offerings, too many entertainments. Further, he was not used to being worshipped by the masses as a living Buddha. "I'm just an ordinary monk," he told Elder Dongxia. "I shouldn't stay here in the temple to confuse the masses. It's the time I should go. There is sufficient manpower to do kanji giving. It makes no difference without me." "Go," Elder asked in wonder, "where are you going?" "I want to go back to the mountains and be secluded from the world," Deking said. "I need to practice more samadhi because I know that I don't have sufficient meditation ability to undertake the great mission of promoting the Dharma. Besides, I am way too showy now." The elder said, "You pray for the snow and extinguish the plague, and you are honored by the whole country. You didn't mean to exaggerate yourself or seduce people. Also, since you stayed at this temple, people offer more incense unprecedentedly in this temple. And all the Buddhist temples in Shin have revived the Buddha light. How do we do if you go? The empress won't let you go either if she knows." Deking knew he couldn't be allowed to quit, so he didn't mention it anymore. At this time, food had already been delivered to Zen, and the drought in all the places had gone. The famine had gradually reduced. The court ordered the local governments to give alms to relieve the disasters. Buddhist monks and gentry all dispatched meals everywhere to help the miserable masses. The prince and ministers had yet negotiated an agreement with Walder C., the chief commander of the Eight-Nation Alliance. There was no sign that the empress would return to the capital anytime soon. Deking felt that he didn't have to keep staying in Zen to be worshipped by people. He quietly left the temple and did not even leave a note. It is difficult for monks without fame to carry out Dharma, and monks with too much fame are inevitably tangled with vanity. Deking sighed impressively, being all alone and only carrying his clothes. He quietly embarked on the road towards the deep of Zongmin in South Mountain. In October, he came to the most secluded valley of Zongnan Mountain, near the Lion Rock, with steep cliffs, springs rushing, misty peaks, and indistinct roads. When seeing it, he was so delighted and immediately began to cut thatch to build a shed. After the shed was built, he began to hoe the land and plant vegetables. He was busy till the end of November. When the weather was cold, and it was snowing on the mountain top, he was able to make everything ready. Since then, he began to meditate and practiced again. There was no empress or emperor here, no prince or minister, no gentry, no masses worshipping. How peaceful this place was! In the mountains, only the sound of the spring water and wind blowing on the pines were heard, which was gorgeous. He was self-reliant, practicing alone and quietly. Looking up at the misty clouds and brilliant white snow above the mountain peaks, he felt carefree and content. Perhaps I left the capital was a mistake, he thought. How can I carry forward Dharma but stay away from the crowd? Isn't my seclusion contrary to my wish of promoting Dharma? But how terrible and unbearable those vanities are! This is very contradictory. To promote Dharma, I must go to the mundane world instead of the transmundane world. But I cannot be free from fame if going mundanely. Without fame, I won't be able to promote Dharma smoothly. With fame, I will be burdened with fortune and vanity. What should I do? I have to practice diligently and settle down, and return to the crowd at the right time. Without the fetters of fortune and glory, he felt free and relaxed in the remote mountains. He was not enslaved by fame, not restrained by rituals, and free from secular annoyance. There were only vast and drifting clouds in this mountain. They flew slowly and quietly, which was so free and peaceful. He looked at these clouds, listening to the sound of fountains and the sough of vines. His body and mind harmoniously became one with this expansive and pleasurable nature. I shall go down the mountains to promote Dharma and help the world, he thought. I can't stay in the pastime of this wonderland forever. But I have to start over and get rid of the fetters of prestige. From now on, I can no longer use the name of Deking. I must change another name, so as not to be disturbed by too many people due to prestige and hinder my practice during this period. Look at those ethereal clouds, how empty they are. Are everything and every form in the world the same as the empty of the cloud? Will everything eventually return to emptiness and silence? He hadn't fully realized the truth until then. These empty clouds inspired him to change his name. Shuyun. He said to himself, yes, I am Shuyun from now on,